killed Laura Palmer? A question that has haunted both the small town of Twin Peaks and its dedicated fan base. This video essay will delve into that question by analyzing a crucial yet often overlooked scene. From just one sequence in the second episode, the show's main mystery can be unraveled. This seemingly innocent scene holds the key to solving the mystery of Twin Peaks. We will start our analysis by examining the scene in question. With the use of video editing, we can skip all the boring dialogue and only focus on what's important: the fish.
Hi, Sheriff.
Mrs. Packard. Dale Cooper, FBI. You remember him from the town meeting last night, I'm sure.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Agent Cooper, you remember Pete Martell?
Sure, Pete. You bet.
Can we offer you gentlemen a cup of joe?
Mrs. Packard, you said the magic word.
I'd love a cup, thanks.
Sure, I'll pour that for you. Mr. Cooper, how do you take it?
Black as midnight on a moonless night.
Pretty black.
Please sit down.
Thank you.
Fellas, don't drink that coffee. You'd never guess. There was a fish in the percolator. Sorry.
One night.
Some night.
This scene has puzzled Twin Peaks fans for years, but what does it mean? Well, hear me out. The fish represents nature, the pristine wilderness that once surrounded Twin Peaks before the lumber mills and factories came to town, before the death of Laura Palmer. The percolator represents the town, which has been contaminated. The coffee represents the town's people, who are oblivious to the dangers. To understand this, we need to go back to the Industrial Revolution. Now, let me take you on a journey through time, back to the 18th and 19th centuries, when the Industrial Revolution was at its peak, and factories and mills were popping up all over the place. These factories were churning out all sorts of goods, from textiles to steel, and they were powered by steam engines and other machines that required massive amounts of water. And where did all this water come from? It came from our rivers, streams, and lakes. The same water sources that we rely on for drinking, fishing, and swimming. And unfortunately, the factories were not exactly known for their clean and eco-friendly practices. Instead, they were dumping all sorts of toxic waste into the water, from chemicals to heavy metals to raw sewage. And this pollution was not just limited to the water sources near the factories. It spread far and wide, contaminating entire river systems, and even our oceans. As a result of this widespread pollution, many people suffered from illnesses and diseases related to contaminated water. Cholera and typhoid fever were especially common during the Industrial Revolution, and outbreaks were often traced back to polluted water sources. The pollution also had a devastating impact on wildlife, as aquatic animals and plants struggled to survive in contaminated water. Fish populations declined, and entire ecosystems were disrupted. Some rivers were so polluted that they literally caught fire. Pollution, fire, fish. What does this mean? To understand this, we need to know what fire really is. You may think you already know what fire is, but there's so much more to this phenomenon that meets the eye. Firstly, let's debunk a common misconception. Fire is not matter, but rather a result of a chemical reaction known as combustion. The three main ingredients required for fire to occur are fuel, oxygen, and heat. When these elements are present in the right conditions, a chemical reaction takes place, releasing energy in the form of heat and light. Now let's take a closer look at the combustion process. When a fuel, such as wood or gasoline, is exposed to heat, it releases volatile gases. These gases mix with oxygen in the air, and when they reach a certain temperature, they ignite and burn, releasing even more heat and light. This process is what we commonly refer to as fire. Fire also has three different states: the flame, the fuel, and the oxidizer. The flame is the visible portion of the fire that we see and is a result of excited molecules releasing energy in the form of light. The fuel is the material that's being burned, and the oxidizer is the substance that provides oxygen for the chemical reaction. So, what does this have to do with the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer? Witch burning, also known as burning at the stake, was a common form of execution used in Europe during the Middle Ages and early modern period, particularly from the 15th to the 18th century. The belief was that witches made a pact with the devil, and they were able to perform magic to harm others. Thus, they were seen as a threat to society and had to be eliminated. Fire was the chosen method of execution for witches because it was believed to be a purifying element that could destroy evil and demons. The fire used for witch burning was not just any ordinary fire, but a specific type of fire that was believed to have special powers. The fire was not just used to kill the witches, but also to send a message to others in society. The execution was usually carried out in a public place, with crowds of people gathering to watch. The idea was to scare people into obeying the laws and not to practice witchcraft. Throughout history, women who deviated from societal norms and expectations have often been subjected to persecution, ostracism, and even violence. During the time of the witch trials, women who were deemed too promiscuous or sexually liberated were often accused of witchcraft and punished accordingly. The connection between Laura Palmer's lifestyle and her eventual demise can be inferred from the fact that she was involved in drugs and prostitution. Hence, if we assume that the flame caused her death, we must ask ourselves, what fueled it? As mentioned earlier, the fish symbolizes the unspoiled nature and innocence that once enveloped Twin Peaks before the arrival of lumber mills and industrialization. It was used as the fuel for the fire of hatred that killed Laura Palmer. However, the question arises, how can a fish, an aquatic creature, be used to ignite a flame? The answer is simple. The fish was taken out of the water first. But why a fish? Fish is made up of organic matter, and organic matter is known to be highly combustible. When it comes to fueling flames, the key is to find a substance that is... I deal Miss the Milf, and as you stand by the Snits Bassining in her preference sends it in. There be where he's been enough Mikulshuk, and as you stand. And as sub Microflushness says you, and as you stand, but I was nice Nicholas Shift, Loyal and shit in it. Obamel feel a harsh to this side I fear the game of an shares and snack has nice Nicholas Shift, so keeps it. My lordship Navi in the shift for nerve Nicholas Shift, and my facilities must scaffney. Mail finally for Snits Baskifer, but this you. Loyal, but I was nice Nick Shift. Higher seed with up steam shift. Honor to be loving it. Na shift and it did not with up that's its bus and alpha see. Smell from your leaf it's machino. Oh, but some Machila, he was no 0 I'm gonna grow it. Heard I'm gonna grow up by him the shift.